You may fire when ready. It's a trap.
Hi. Welcome back to episode 6 of the Holochronicles Podcast. Josh.
Is that the longest we've ever let the intro go?
I don't know. I could let it go.
I don't
for
know,
longer.
since we let it go like two episodes ago.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, shout out to the BMB listening.
What's up, Blue Milk Brigade?
Glad you're a part of the 6th episode, the 6th partaking.
The Siths.
The 6th. That was a
You
Freudian.
did it on purpose.
a
Nice word.
Freudian
Is
slip
it
there.
Freudian?
I don't know. Maybe. We do think about it a lot.
Amalian slip.
Welcome to the 6th episode of the Holochronicles Podcast. Thank you for listening. Share it with your friends.
Return of the Holochronicles.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter if you haven't already.
Ooh, where?
We're getting at Holochronicles.
How do you spell that?
HOLOCHRO. Ickles. And we do have Instagram and Facebook set up, although we just did that this last week, and we haven't been good about being on that and being active on it.
We're getting better.
A whole lot, but we're working on it still, and we're building it up a little bit. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes. If you're listening for the first time, give us a rating and tell
give us
your
a
buddies.
like, subscribe. Yeah, I think you said that. That's great. Helps us out. It's cool. Keeps us going.
We will give you some Star Wars news, Easter egg discussions. Shout out to a couple of people who showed us their collections this week, and a collector tip, and then lastly, a little Star Wars thought.
And if you're joining us for the first time, thank you. Welcome. We love you new listeners. Go ahead and listen back to some previous pods. But really, we're just all about talking Star Wars. Normal guys who love us some Star Wars stuff, and we like to collect.
Yes, we do.
We do like to collect.
And there's some collecting news.
There's some
this week.
collecting news this week. So thank you for joining us. We hope you get some entertainment out of this. But right in.
Right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Here we go. How about some news?
Star Wars news.
Well, the big news for us this week being that the whole genesis of us doing this in the first place is because we collect the Star Wars toys. Mostly,
love 'em.
Mostly the vintage stuff. And by vintage, we mean 77 through 85. And with a fair amount of Black Series thrown in too, I would say at this point.
Jeez, I got a little rant on that. So
We'll get to the what
we
have
will.
you gotten
We will.
recently
We
here.
will.
But there was the 2019 Toy Fair that just took place this weekend, and turns out Kenner is coming out with some retro figures on some retro
I thought Kenner didn't exist anymore. What are you talking about?
Kenner / Hasbro.
Oh.
And it's I had my heart leapt, and then it crashed. There was a really strange mix of emotion for me, Josh. You can tell me what you think here, but I see the 6 figures that they were going to come out with exclusively through Target, immediately sold out. So I did not get anything in on time, and nobody on Twitter that I saw in there was able to too.
No,
which
it was a surprise.
which
to me.
makes some people a little conspiracy theory. Their hairs kind of stand up on the back of their neck a little bit. But I see like the Luke, Vader, Leia, Han, Chewie, and I think Stormtrooper. I think those are the 6. And they look exactly like the originals, which is cool because that's nostalgic, and those are the ones that, got everything going. So, people are going to like them based on appearance.
Right.
However, then it was like after that initial, like, oh, cool, just with a slightly different back, cardboard backing. Then I was like, ooh, I really hope that the figures are easily distinguishable from the original ones because they look exactly like them.
Right.
And I pray that the accessories are easily distinguishable from the original accessories. Otherwise, we've just got a whole new set of reproduction
like a date stamp or something.
Yeah, or some mark or difference
Right.
that makes them easy to pick out so that the Imperial gunnery doesn't get hoarded with questions. And is this real? Is this fake? And
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be on top of it, but just for the average consumer, collector, it's just going to be a real headache potentially. And nobody really had any good answers other than the figures are going to have a different date stamp.
Right.
So that'll be
on their legs or foot or whatever.
Yeah, that'll at least be somewhat easy to tell.
I'm middle of the road with it, just kind of like you. I hope that I think Hasbro learned from a few of their past mistakes that, it's a big deal for the collectors to have that, that vintage kind of, I don't know what to call it. I don't know, legacy going on there, but and it's great, all the new stuff. And look, I can see from their perspective too of like, look, we can introduce to the newest generation of Star Wars fans who are, they're not the 6-year-olds or the 10-year-olds even. Yeah. They're like the 20-year-olds and the 25-year-olds who love what's coming out. And we'll talk about this a little bit later. Yeah. And are like, hey, we can get a piece or a reproduction of a piece of the history that they don't care about at all. The 70s, I mean, give me a break. That might as well have been 100 years ago. And so to have a reproduction piece that gives them that nostalgic feel. They may not even like the original trilogy that much as maybe the ones that they're watching now, or the
ones in the early 2000s.
Yeah, they're early, like they're real, vintage, which was maybe the prequels. But I can see. Look, I think in the world of or the universe of Star Wars, especially with toys, you can almost do no wrong when it comes to the fans. But this might be a close one to the heart, especially for guys like you and I who have spent a lot of time,
money,
energy, and time, and money collecting, finding that weapon that isn't repro and
right,
getting
because
it into your line.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but I certainly have experienced this where I've bought something and it turns out to be a reproduction blaster, or and just be like, oh.
Yeah, you had to float it in water.
Yeah, and then you had to, like, I've visited.
Shine a flashlight through it.
I've visited, and this is, they're not paying us to say this, but the ImperialGunnery.com does have a pretty extensive what to look for, as far as real versus reproduction, and how you can tell the difference. And I've been on that site a lot, especially when you go buy things online. It's hard to tell through pictures, and But I will say this, Josh. One thing that I did like about this whole idea of these vintage figures coming out was that they were $9.99.
Yeah, I'd buy them all.
Yeah,
I'd say it, but I'd buy them all.
I would
leave them in their leave them in their packages, and I'd buy them all.
They're also coming out with a skiff too to coincide with the release of the barge in a month or so.
So here's the theory, though. So the question we asked earlier is, they sold out of all the reproduction vintage characters. The barge or the skiff, the skiff was sold out immediately.
Yep.
Do these really exist?
If a tree falls in the forest, no one is there.
I mean, we only saw the notification after they'd already been sold out. So.
Yeah. The moment I saw a picture of them, I went to the Target website and sold out. Yeah. But keep an eye out for them. I'm sure they'll start showing up on eBay and other auction sites, and maybe you can get one through there.
Those are some cool toys, but like you said, we hope they don't affect the and I don't think they will, because there's going to be people out there that'll find the differences. Maybe Hasbro / Fake Kenner did something to those weapons.
Oh, last thing about the toys, there will be a Tarkin figure. Coming out with the re-release of the vintage Star Wars board game, so you can only get him through the board game, and he looks good. And
CGI Tarkin or CGI Tarkin or
actual Tarkin,
real Tarkin.
But his blaster looked different. It wasn't. It was different than any of the vintage ones because he's different.
Yeah,
he wasn't. He didn't have a character back then. So anyway, next thing. The filming for Episode 9 and, coincidentally, The Mandalorian ended this week. Same day, actually, coincidentally.
Must have been sharing.
Or was it?
Sharing, like, costumes or something.
Perhaps. Sharing extras.
Yeah.
I thought, so that means, Josh, what's left is some editing, maybe some callbacks, maybe some voicing overs.
Well, with Abrams, it's a lot of lens flare additions.
Yeah, that was going to take a minute. And then quick zooms.
Quick zooms.
Yeah.
Yep. Pan zoom.
But yeah, we're getting close.
We are.
I mean, as starved as everyone seems to be for new Star Wars information, like the title, which could be coming out this week, which could be coming
who
out
cares, right?
at Star Wars
It's
Celebration.
called Star Wars
Yeah.
Episode 9. Deal with it.
Yeah. You know what I thought was...
Is the title really going to make the movie?
You know, if you go EP, abbreviation for episode, and then IX for the Roman numeral. Epics.
Wow.
Star Wars Episode 9 will be Epics.
Or
I bet
not.
I bet no one has thought of that yet.
No one's thought of that.
Do you think we'll get a teaser trailer at Star Wars Celebration?
Absolutely.
That's in April.
It has to happen. There's no way.
Okay.
I mean, Vegas odds have to be astronomical against that.
Yeah. I mean,
There's no way.
It makes sense.
How could they not?
I know.
The only way they could not do that is if they just full front load Mandalorian and just like, hey, we're going to give you all of this, and
or
then still hold off. I mean, no way.
Or they go heavy with the next, possibly last season of Clone Wars.
Nah,
You don't
doesn't
think
hold
so?
enough weight.
You don't
no,
think so? Okay.
No, not for Star Wars Celebration. No.
All right. By the way, Josh, I finished the Clone Wars this week.
Nice.
I'm
Like
caught up.
the TV series.
The TV series, the cartoon series. That means now I can fully jump into Resistance.
Finally.
Yeah.
Whew.
I know. My kids are looking forward to
You're
that
one of
too.
those check the boxes guys, huh?
Yeah, I don't like to have too many
me
irons
too.
in the fire. One thing
Which
at a
is why
time. At
I've watched like
Thanksgiving,
3 of each.
At Thanksgiving, I eat my mashed potatoes
Right,
first,
right,
and then
right.
my
Don't
turkey,
touch my
and
cranberry
then
sauce.
I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mix my foods. One at a
get
time.
you.
I like to
I get
appreciate
you.
them. That's actually a good segue. Speaking of Star Wars
Thanksgiving?
Celebration,
Oh.
because this week, and I've forwarded you some text messages about this, but I have been going back and watching The Force Awakens teaser and trailer fan reactions.
I have to thank you for sharing.
They're so good.
They really are.
Like, it was just a reminder of how excited everybody was for J.J. Abrams to reboot, the last trilogy of the Star Wars series. And everybody was excited for new Star Wars stuff because it had been a while since Episode 3. And people were losing their minds over
And it was
over
the
the
first
teaser.
non-Lucas, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah, there's original characters mixed with new characters. How is it all going to salt itself out? The music is incredible. John Williams. I mean, people were freaking out at multiple stages through just the teaser.
Right.
Like, just the teaser was like a minute and a half long, and like, there's the Millennium Falcon. Like, I get a visceral reaction when I see the Millennium Falcon
Doing anything.
Yeah, like I remember watching those Force Awakens like trailers, and the different versions of them, and as soon as the Falcon shows up, it's like, oh yeah,
Yep.
That to me, that was the connector to me that really got me. Like, yes, I know. When people saw the melted Vader helmet, and it was like, oh, yeah.
Right.
Like, they're bringing, oh my gosh, they brought that back. Where's that been? How'd he get it? And then
Ewoks on eBay. That's what it is.
yeah, I mean, I guess they got to make some money too. All right?
Nope.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess so. That's a good one, Josh. And then at the end of the teaser trailer, Han and Chewie,
We're home.
we're home, and that just like
That was it for me.
yes,
That's
yes,
like I sent the gif of the frowny lip. That's what happened to me. I was like,
yeah, get a little dusty.
so
in here.
I want to just like, I know we're still in the news, but I want to segue because this is my reaction to reacting to reactions.
Yeah.
It was crazy because I have to tell you, as much maybe negativity that's been thrown out towards even me, I was not the biggest Force Awakens fan. I really wasn't. I came out of it kind of going, I'm confused. Okay, I hope they fix it in the next movie. And then Last Jedi, I could totally get on the bandwagon of like what the hell happened. but however, going back and watching these reaction videos actually brought out what I love about being a Star Wars fan and what I love about Star Wars fans, the ones that showed up with me in the line to those movies in costume and or just smiles. And that's what really matters is when you watch those reactions, the same reactions I had without a camera on me, and the, you know, and just the happiness, the joy, the actual joy. Like, you could almost make an argument that Star Wars trailers are more entertaining than the movies themselves, which is, you know, not a very, you know,
the best
genius
things on YouTube. Yeah, I probably have watched 15 different ones in the last couple days, and they're all good.
They're fantastic.
And then there's a few that are like mosaics of like 12 different people's reaction all at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, men and women, young and old, and everyone's just jazzed over the Force Awakens trailers or the teaser. And it brought me right back to there. And then, so I wanted to ask you, Josh, because I know you'd watched a couple of them. What was everybody right about, or actually, I think would be more fun, what were we wrong about? Because as always, they're just super dissected. Like every second of every trailer before the movie comes out gets dissected. What's in the background? What could this mean? What could that mean? And for me, like the big one that everybody was wrong about, of course, was who's Rey and why is she important?
Right.
And turns out
Rey was wrong about that too.
Yeah. Rey's very important, but
she's nobody.
She's nobody, and deliberately nobody.
According to, can we call him Kylo? We were told we can't call him Kylo.
No, Han
Killer. What's up, Matt? All right. According to the guy in the mask and without the mask, the scar. I'm the wrong guy to ask for that because I'm very much an in the moment type of person. So when I saw those, I just was like, I don't know. I'm not going to make any assumptions. Like you, when the Falcon bottoms out in Force Awakens and, you know, in the trailer and just like lifts, I was like, that's it. I don't care. I don't care what happens. I will say that when I watched the movie, I was like, I didn't expect that when they're fighting some kind of crazy suction monster in a barge. That was really weird for me, but I don't know. I had no expectations. I was confused about and also excited about a rogue stormtrooper, you know.
Right. Changing sides.
The first time you saw a stormtrooper without his helmet, I mean, that was legit. And it was like, awesome. So what's going to happen here? Obviously, we're not in the same clone run we were before.
Right.
But, you know, whatever.
Not all the troopers are clones.
Nope.
And they weren't always anyway, but that's where the Army first started, was with clones, and then recruitment. And
I just want to go back and say, you know what? If you haven't done it, this is really good advice. I don't care what side of the fence you're on with these newer sequels. Go watch the reaction videos and put yourself there and remember how you felt. I mean, I'm serious. I have an emotional reaction watching these people because I'm like, I feel like that guy's face right now because he's so happy.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Star Wars, people. That's Star Wars. Don't forget that. No matter what you think the plot line left out or should have put in, that's Star Wars.
Yes.
That reaction.
That is Star Wars.
I will say one more thing. I read a few more, not tweets, but articles, and it was about somebody who had watched the prequels, and they were 8 years old, and there was all this negativity going around about the prequels, and that person was like, I don't remember any of that. I just remember being so excited about what I was watching. And think about, I don't know what kind of negativity went around in the 70s over Star Wars. You know, it was called a spaghetti western in space, you know, and all this stuff. So just remember that. Don't be too negative, because that's another topic we have probably, right?
Yeah, I saw The Phantom Menace 7 times in the theater in the first 2 weeks it was out. And I will tell you, it's not my favorite.
Right.
But it was so much fun going with people.
Right. And
for the
watching them watch it for the first time.
Yeah. Yep. I camped out. This is when I was in college, but I was student teaching in Portland, Oregon, and 2 of my students at the time were cutting school the day before it came out just so they could go get in line for tickets. and I paid them to get me a ticket too, and I went with them.
Right.
And we had a blast.
Student teacher of the year.
Well, to two guys, yeah. I brought plastic lightsabers for them, and people
Right.
were dressed up, and it was fun.
But that's Star Wars.
Yes.
Right? I don't care. Look, I'm going to do the same thing when episode 9 comes out. I promise you that. We actually put on or contribute towards a bit of a to-do in our area, and I'm going to do that again. I have so much faith, hope, and also respect for you can throw Disney in or whatever. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I love Star Wars that much. It transcends politics.
Yeah, it does for me. It does for me. There's a lot of
Doesn't mean I don't
right.
care for a few things.
We have our
come on.
critiques,
Yep.
definitely, and it's okay to have them. There's a lot of Twitter hate out there.
There is,
and
but
Twitter.
It's where you can say something without anyone
Yeah, there's no repercussion
punching
for
you back.
Really,
Yeah.
you can be anonymous out there, but I have some critiques in all of the movies, every single one of them, but I love them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see the next one, and I'm going to love it too. I already know I'm going to love it, even if I have critiques. And
Well, that's what being a fan's about. If you're a sports fan or anything, it's about the highs and the lows, but you still love the idea of
Yeah.
what you're behind. I love it. And I think there's so much work being done outside of the movies that should make you happy, and you can make your own work. We've talked about fan art. We've talked about all kinds of the toys that we collect. All those things
posters
form the
mugs, yeah.
actual universe. Really, to be honest with you, the movies could perhaps be, other than being the nucleus, the smallest part of what we love. It's really the imagination beyond. Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm tearing up here.
Well, speaking of tearing up, J.J. Abrams posted one picture that everybody's seen and scrutinized of Rey,
Yeah.
of Poe,
Yeah.
and Finn,
Yeah.
giving a
Big hugs.
a big hug, in the announcement that they had wrapped primary filming
Yep.
for episode 9, and they're like, "This is the new group of 3. This is the new Leia, Han, and Luke." And
Yep.
Oh, is that Rey's staff in the background? Oh,
Ooh, why does her hair look the same as episode?
remember when we
7.
thought that there might be a double-edged lightsaber hidden in that, and that she never knew about, and all those reckless speculation things that we still all
Where's
do,
Darth
but,
Maul?
but yeah, it was a sweet picture.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a sweet picture.
I was down.
and-
I actually liked it, and then I liked somebody posted caption this picture. That was fun.
yeah.
There were some good captions to that. There were some bad captions too, by the way. There's some very uncreative people out there, but
And
they're
some-
on Twitter, man.
And
Don't
some
worry about it.
meanies. Twitter
Some meanies,
isn't
some trolls.
real life.
Twitter kind of is to us because we're up to 193 followers.
Yes, we're almost at 200, everybody. And I would say,
I should do air rap horn or rap air horn or whatever it's called.
I would really love to
Literally
give
have
something to our 200th follower, but there's no guarantee that that's going to work out as we found out with our 100th follower.
Apparently, we're dangerous men.
Yeah, we just want to give you free stuff. It's not like we're rolling up in a panel van and giving away candy or anything. But.
It's all right.
All right, Josh, next thing, let's have a quick Easter egg discussion.
Are we ready for that already? You killing me, bro.
I think so.
Easter eggs.
This is going to be quick.
All right, go.
We're going to try and keep this pod.
No, we're not. It's
right.
not
Well-
working already.
All right.
All right, go quick.
In original Star Wars movie, A New Hope, there is a moment, and this is famous.
The most Easter egg did.
It's not even really an Easter egg. It's a blooper that didn't get caught by the editors, and it's funny. It's genuinely funny. A Death Star scene after Han and Luke and Chewie go to get the princess.
Right.
R2 and C-3PO are left in this little control room overlooking the Millennium Falcon, and stormtroopers are outside pounding on the door wanting to get in, and they finally get it opened, and as one of the stormtroopers comes in, he bangs his head on the door. He doesn't duck, and
I've had that on loop on a GIF before and just watched for 7 minutes.
We'll post a picture of it. I've got a picture of it. We'll post on Twitter, probably on Instagram too.
Sure.
Trevor, you got that?
Yeah. Producer Trev, not here today, but always in our heart.
Always in our hearts. But we'll post a picture of that. But it actually gets talked about briefly in a documentary that I saw recently in the last couple weeks. It's been out for a while, but it's called Elstree 1976. It's a Star Wars documentary about some of the bit players in A New Hope. People such as, I don't know if I can remember a few names here, David Pross, who plays Darth Vader, who I learned a lot about, who's actually pretty famous prior to. He was a bodybuilder, pretty well known. He was a big dude. He's like 6'7". Interesting guy.
He's got a crazy eye.
He does. One eye is...
He's got a Death Star eye. One blue that way and the other blue that way. What? I'm sorry. That's an old joke. We'll edit that out.
Yeah, but he's an interesting dude. He talks a lot throughout the documentary. There's Jeremy Bullock, who plays Boba Fett.
Yeah.
There's the guy that plays Biggs Darklighter, to name a few. And then there's a few people that maybe have like one line in the movie or just are in the background of some scenes.
Right.
But they make their way around the Comic-Con circuits and they sign autographs and they're still known people
basically
for the diehards.
Extras.
Yeah.
Basically extras. I mean, Boba Fett's not an extra, but he legitimately kind of is. He has no lines.
No, he just walks
three.
Well, and David Prost doesn't have any lines either. He
does. If you
there's some YouTube videos.
That was the greatest videos. He's like, thank you, James Earl Jones. He's like, I want the princess and I want her alive. Like,
thank you.
We should find a deeper voice.
Yeah, something more baritone. But it's
Go get him.
It's a good documentary. It's a little slow rolling at first, but it does pick up. It does get pretty interesting. And it's just like how these people ended up on the Star Wars set, and it's
cool.
It's coincidental, and it's a little humorous, and you just kind of find out how these people, how being background people or lesser known or not even have speaking parts in the movie has made them famous.
Well, how powerful Star Wars is.
It's changed their lives, yeah. And then so people,
and you will wait in line and get their autograph on a picture of them.
Speaking from experience,
or pay too much online.
I think actually, people that get things, that's kind of our specialty.
Yeah.
Let's see, we have a drop for the Show Me now.
Oh, are you ready?
It's a new one. Yeah,
here it comes. A new drop.
Show me your collection.
Oh,
well done.
Whoa.
Man, we whoever does that voice does a really good job.
So good. So
we featured 2 collections this Saturday.
Not one.
No. You get
2.
You get a bonus.
It's a twofer.
Every Saturday, we like to highlight a follower's collection. And the collections can be small, they can be medium, they can be large. They don't have to, we're not looking for anything in particular. We really enjoy, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted to do a, Twitter and Instagram and stuff. One of the things we want to do is see what other people collect, see how they do it and what they're into. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of that because I get a lot of enjoyment out of mine. Josh?
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of enjoyment out of yours?
I do. It's dumb.
in a good way.
It is.
Yeah. When vices become habits.
Right.
You know?
Right. And,
I think I saw that on a Twitter.
Yeah. Vices. Yeah. I'm not collecting cocaine.
Big shout out to our spouses.
They're great.
The first person that we shouted out and showed their collection was a guy by the name of Matt. This is a different Matt than last week.
Okay.
Toy Matt, at Toy Matt.
All right. What was your favorite piece?
He had, well, what I appreciated about Toy Matt's, there's a few things. Everything was in its place. You could tell that he thought about how he was going to display, because he displays. He doesn't just collect, he displays.
There is a difference.
There is a difference.
We've seen many collections.
We've seen, stuff put together like in a bookcase or on a shelf or on a wall, whatever. But Toy Matt, he put some time and effort and energy into how he collected, and it's everything's got their place. It's mostly Star Wars. He had some other stuff in there, some Transformers and other things too, but
which is fine,
absolutely fine. You're not cheating on anybody
No,
by
we love
doing
you.
that. Yeah,
It's fine.
We accept it. I have a little G.I. Joe corner in my room, so I mean, so be it.
I've got an Austin Powers. Not a corner, just one Austin Powers
Just,
figure.
yeah. And one Optimus Prime.
Yeah, definitely one of those.
But I really appreciated how Matt displayed it. He looked like he had some IKEA bookshelves with some backlighting behind it.
Nice.
It
No,
was
yeah,
it was
for sure.
very, very pretty.
It was very like come in and then like watch this.
Yeah.
Flip the switch.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my comments was I could spend a couple hours just looking at all the things that he had in there, and that time would go by fast for me.
Right. And then also making offers on things that you wanted to buy.
Yeah, do you have any doubles?
Yeah.
Because I asked him, I said, and this was just in the messages back and forth to each other, is like what's your favorite thing? Like what are you most into?
Right.
And he said that he's got over 60 different A-wings.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so
I mean, not that you're crazy, Matt, but that's crazy.
yeah, and
You're
it's
crazy.
it's Legos, it's Power of the Force, it's Droid Line.
Don't you love that?
He loves A-wings.
I love
That's
picking
the
an
thing.
A-wing. I just love that. A-wings.
I love
Done.
A-wings. Yeah.
Yep. I'm on.
Yeah.
A-wings.
And so he's got
Makes things easier.
It
that should be
does.
like your collector tip. Is like narrow it down.
I think that was one of our collections.
Well, no, but I mean, go a little crazy on just one toy.
Are you that way about one thing in particular?
Not yet. Well, no, not in evidence. Well, I do like the troopers, but yeah, no. What? Wait, what do you think you know about me?
I don't know. I was going to say stormtroopers, but
I know. No. I want to have a legion. That's what I want. But I just,
1,000. You want 1,000 stormtroopers?
yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be really cool.
That would be great.
You better get on it. I kind of was into the bounty hunters for a bit.
Yeah.
But
But we already saw like the collection of the guy that had all the Boba Fetts, and I was like, ooh,
yeah, he had
I don't
like
know what to do with all
40 of
those.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, more. I
more.
think.
Yeah, he had
It's
more than that.
crazy. All right, so Matt, thank you for showing us your collection.
Yes, we very much appreciate it, and you can look at it on our Twitter feed at Holochronicles. And Matt's a guy that if you message him, he'll answer your questions. He's good about that.
By the way, that's at Holochronicles. HOLOCHRONICLES. I know we did the full like Chronicles at the end there. Sorry. There it is.
The second Show Me Your Collection, hashtag Show Me Your Collection, Saturday was David from Beyond the Blast Doors, and that's at BTBD Star Wars, Beyond the Blast
And they've
Doors.
got a pod, right?
They do.
And a YouTube and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and so their pod is on
They're pro.
YouTube. They got good production value.
Really do.
They
have a set.
They get very in depth on their topics, and I appreciated that. And the reason why I became aware of them is because they threw out. I'd been following. Now, understand, we've been on Twitter a month,
A whole month.
roughly a month,
Right.
and so we followed them. They followed us. And it was a follow for a follow, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And they had thrown out a question. Hey, they're doing like a mailbag thing. Send us your questions, and we'll pick a couple to answer. Well, I asked them a question appropriate to the Holochronicles. What's your favorite Star Wars toy? And so the two guys, they answered it on the pod on YouTube. I watched it. It was great. And they both gave good answers. And David responded back to us. I said, thanks for answering my question. And he's like, yeah, make sure you watch it. And I'm like, totally will. And then we got to talking. I was like, hey, send me a few pictures of your collection.
Show me your collection.
Exactly. And he did. And David did. David was the one that responded back. And he came to Star Wars with the prequels. 1999 was his introduction.
Young fella, huh?
Yes, younger. And he said, I asked him, I said, what was the first Star Wars toy that you remember getting? He said, an X-Wing Lego.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's cool. That's a good introduction right there. And what I appreciated about his collection, Josh, was that there were a lot of Legos in it. And that is totally appropriate for somebody just getting into Star Wars with the Phantom Menace.
And who has a lot of money. It's Legos.
Yeah, Legos, they're not cheap, but nothing is if you're collecting.
That's a spendy path. But
Yeah.
no.
But he had a lot of Legos, and I remember getting a lot of those Lego sets that he had for my kids.
Right.
And we still have many of those. And he also had a lot of literature, which didn't surprise me. If you listen to their podcast, they, like I said, they get in depth. And so there's a knowledge base that they have from those, everything from comic books to anthologies to, just like books like I think I remember seeing the X-Wing Squadron series in there, but old canon, new canon, that kind of stuff. So books and Legos were the things that stood out for me. And that's, again, everybody's collection is a little bit different. I love seeing what they got and what they're into, and like shout out to the Beyond the Blast Doors.
No,
guys.
it's awesome. No, we love making. This is what I'm enjoying. Like you said, we've only been on Twitter for about a month. I really enjoy. Man, the fan base is cool. They're cool. There's all kinds of opinions, and I was tongue in cheek earlier about which side of the fence, hate it or love it, sequels, prequels, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter. It all comes from this really, similar point where we all love what we're talking about. I mean, it's a fantastic, topic to talk about, and I love seeing. Man, there's a lot of podcasts out there too, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to plenty, and I enjoy every single one of them.
Yeah, they all hit on different things. They all have different strengths.
Different points of view. I mean, I tell you what, we could change the world with some of these Star Wars fans. If only we could leave the house.
Get out of the basement as we are right now.
All right, man. Well, that's cool. So,
You ready?
are you ready? Yeah, I'm ready.
Ready for
Here we
the
go.
collector tip? Here we go.
Here we go.
Hello, what have we here? Collector tip!
Is that your favorite drop?
That one peaks us out a little bit. we might have to compress that one. But yeah, collector tip.
Collector tip. Josh, you kind of hinted at it earlier when you said, prioritize, find your thing, and go nuts with it a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of along the same lines as I was thinking. This week's collector tip, I put write down 5 things that you really want to get.
Right.
Because, my profession is education, and we hear this all the time. You're much more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down.
Right.
And write down meaningful steps to achieve your goals. And it's okay for goals to be lofty. They should be attainable, but lofty, and work towards getting them. And so applying that to collecting, what are the next 3 things that you really want to get? Price notwithstanding. I mean, everybody's got a budget, but within your budget, what are the next 3 to 5 things that you want to get, and how are you going to do that? What's your timeline? Because if you could think about it like that, you're gonna get those things.
Right. Especially if you focus, if you look at it, if you think about it, if I've always given the example of like, if you want a new car and you have a specific model and make of a car, what happens when you're driving down the road? You see that car everywhere. It's been there the whole time.
Right.
It's been driving around you. But as soon as you focus, as soon as you decide that that's the car for you, it's everywhere. And that focus brings, it's not repetition, but it just brings, you keep seeing it. You keep it just refocuses you every time that you see that. So that's the same with, when I have my eye on the prize when it comes to a particular toy or whatever, I get locked in, and then we're looking for pricing, and you're looking for the good deal, and that's half the fun is a little bit of the wait, a little bit of the anticipation, and then of course
The bidding.
mail day.
Mail days. Yes.
We haven't talked about mail day on the pod, have we?
No, mail day's a thing with the BMB, and what?
Actually, we should have a mail day Monday
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
Definitely one of those
or
days.
something that starts with an M.
Mail day.
I
Monday.
came up with Monday.
Sounds
Genius.
good to me. Amongst the group, of us that are friends here that we collect together.
Well, now it's the full group.
And now it's the full. That's why
full
we're
Twitter
opening it
roll,
up. We're going to
you know?
share with
Yeah.
the Twitterverse. Whenever one of us gets something, we in the group text, we say mail day and then a picture of what we got, and then it's like hearts and thumbs up and Like, where'd you get that?
Wow.
Or, yeah. And it is, just so you guys know, it is appropriate to ask how much you spent on it.
It is. It's fine.
It's absolutely appropriate
Yeah.
because
What kind of deal did you get?
maybe I want one too.
Maybe the guy's selling another one.
Maybe
Or gal.
maybe you should have bought two so I can buy
Maybe you
one.
should have bought two. That's happened on a few mail day occasions.
Josh, when you buy new stuff, do you leave it in the box or do you take it out?
Depends on the stuff.
That's such a tough question sometimes.
Yeah, depends on the stuff.
Um,
Currently in the box.
what have you gotten recently, Josh?
Oh man, I went on a bit of a spree.
It happens.
I went on a bit of a spree, which is fine because I went on I had a
It's fine, Josh.
long.
You don't have to tell.
No,
It's
let
okay.
me justify. I had a dry spell where I was like, enough, and that was may or may not have been.
Enough being fiscally responsible. I need to spend some loot.
So I got some stuff, and I kind of went on a kick. And if you want to talk about focusing on one particular thing, I decided that I was going to up my signed poster or picture
Memorabilia.
game.
So,
So I have a which I will not say their name
okay.
until they pay us, which will never happen. But I won't say their name just to keep the saturation down because this pod is so far-reaching.
The fingers are long.
That I want to make sure that my my bidding doesn't get overworked by all you listeners out there. But I went to a site and I purchased a few things. I got a pro tip from you on some other things, and so I have a sweet collection of signed memorabilia in the mail and already delivered. So it's been a good week for me. I won't be able to eat next week, but this week has been fantastic.
So did you get more than two?
Yes.
Who
I may have upwards
I know
of 5 signed items coming my way.
boy. Can you share with us two of them?
I will. I'll give you all. I don't care.
Okay.
The one that I received yesterday in the mail was a BB-8 signed picture by the puppeteer. Can't remember his name.
His
Don't
name's
care.
Brian.
Is Brian something?
Yeah,
and
we follow him.
We've
actually corresponded, he and I.
His signature, it doesn't say Brian. It looks like BB-8 wrote it, which I thought was actually what I was buying. I didn't know this Brian guy was involved. I'm just kidding.
How can BB-8? Right.
With the same thing that he lights the lighter with.
His name's Brian Herring.
There he is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your beautiful signature.
It does look cool.
It was a beautiful find. I love it.
Yeah.
And then I might wait for next week because I don't have them in hand. So I'll just give you that one.
Okay.
That's my one.
I know you got a few Black Series also.
I'm going to post them up on Twitter. I
Okay.
call them the crack series because
Yes.
I cannot pass them by.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, there was a new release, I think, of 4.
Yeah.
We got Han, 4 or 5 Han, Solo, or from the Solo movie. What is it? Mambib. I always get that name wrong. Whatever.
Yeah.
Where he's in the sweet World War I.
Mimban?
Mimbam. Thank you. And then a B-1 battle droid. Oh, he's cool. Which
Roger.
is stupid because I hated them for a while, but now I love them. And then, a Padme.
Mm-hmm.
She's looking sweet. Nice. I think it's midriff Padme. I got to double check that.
No, she's got the shawl.
You sure?
Yes.
Maybe it's midriff Leia. I got that too. I got a Leia.
There's not a midriff.
Yes, there is. There's bikini Leia, and you can see all her midriff.
That's different. It's not.
And then
it was
my
it was Hoth Leia.
Voss, and then my favorite,
Dryden Voss, yeah.
my favorite.
And he is bad A.
My favorite is Mace Windu.
Yeah, he looks
They
great.
nailed it. He
He
looks
looks
so good. I don't even know if I'll be able to keep him in the package.
I wish
he looks
you would have bought two of those.
There were two.
Even though I've sworn off the Black
Right,
Series. I
right.
have.
The crack series.
I've
You
sworn
can't
off
swear
the-
off the crack series. It comes back. You got to chase the
once-
dragon, man.
Once
You got
you
to chase the dragon.
once you've tasted, it's
Woo-wee.
always there. But
Oh, the crack series is
the Mace
oh,
Windu is
He looks fantastic.
going to cause me to stumble, and I'm going to
Yeah,
probably end up getting one after I've said I've sworn off the Black Series. because
I would. So yeah,
they're not on my goal sheet, Josh. The Black Series are not on my goal sheet anymore, and I've stepped away from them. But gosh dang it, Mace Windu.
They're great.
He is great.
Yeah, so a banner week for me, and then I'll have to go on another 6-month hiatus.
Well, I have my most recent purchase, it's just one thing because it was a little spendy, but I have been wanting one for quite a while now, and I happen to get it with its original box and instructions too.
With a little motivation, I believe, from one of our
Toy Matt. It was purely coincidence that the guy that we featured on our Show Me Your Collection.
Was it?
This is after the fact.
Wow,
so,
that's called the universe talking back.
Yeah, giving me a backslap.
Yep.
But I got a original Droids series, which is from the 1985 Droid line, A-Wing.
Nice.
And
beautiful, by the way.
It is very, very nice. I'm very happy about it, and I don't have any buyer's remorse, Josh.
No? Why would you?
No buyer's remorse.
Why would you? You don't have any food either, but or gas.
I am peanut butter and jelly and top ramen. Yes.
The life of a collector.
Don't worry, my kids are fine.
Yep.
My kids are fine.
They love peanut butter and jelly and top ramen.
Thankfully.
And they can walk to school.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's all downhill and they can coast.
Well, very good. Thank you.
It's been a good collector week.
Now, I will say this. I think next week we're going to have a guest appearance.
If we can hook that.
We got a couple things going on.
Set the
big
hook.
Celeb, so to speak.
Our first guest, like interview guest on the Holochronicles podcast.
So I'm saying stay tuned.
Yes, you might want to tell your friends.
This is a Holochronicles exclusive, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
If it happens.
It was supposed to happen this week. Things happen.
Hey, it's all right.
We rescheduled to next week.
We got it.
We're setting the hook right now.
Yeah.
We got a big time interview with a guy that cracks us up.
Yeah. No, don't you give it away.
Huge Star Wars fan. And
as a matter of fact, when you listen next week, we want you to video record your reaction to our guest,
to our audio interview.
Which would be awesome. Because can you imagine all the bored faces that we'll get?
I can't wait to click like on those.
I know, just all the bored. Like, I waited for this.
Anyway,
it'll be fantastic.
No, it will be fantastic. Josh, do we have time for just kind of one last thought of
the
day here?
Okay.
I think we do.
All right.
Josh, to you, there's a lot of talk in the Star Wars universe about the prophecy that Anakin Skywalker was the one to bring balance to the Force.
Sure. He was the chosen one.
Right. What does that mean, balance to the Force? What does that mean to you?
I don't know. I think we talked about this earlier. I think you had a good description. I've got a couple theories because based on your theory, I was like, that doesn't sound like balance. It sounds like balance only means, but go ahead and tell it before I say that.
All right. I wrote it down just because I wanted to make sure I articulated at least enough to put words on paper. Does balance mean equal amount of dark and light, or Jedi and Sith, or good and bad, good and evil? The Old Republic was about the near destruction of the Sith, like wipe them out.
Right.
That was before the Rule of Two, where there was a whole planet of Sith followers, and the Old Republic was about kind of eliminating that because they were an evil force.
Right. A dark force.
A dark force. So when that was achieved, or at least achieved in large, there was then what would seem to be an overabundance, or in comparison to Jedi. And if balance means, I'm not one that thinks balance means eliminating evil.
Right.
I don't think you can. And I don't think that's what the balance part of bringing balance to the Force really means. I think a good, honest Jedi would tell you that there's always that conflict, and it's very yin and yang. And how the picture of yin and yang is a black and a white swirl, with a black dot in the white swirl and a white dot in the black swirl. It's a picture of conflict between the two, and yet there is a little part of the other within each other.
Right.
And so So in the near destruction of all the Sith, there was an overabundance of Jedi in comparison. Not that that was a good or bad thing, but just comparatively. And there was a time of prosperity within the galaxy, 1,000 years or so, which brings us to the prequels and how Sheev Palpatine comes to power and has different apprentices, from Darth Maul to oh crap, why am I brain farting?
What?
Dooku, sorry.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
sorry. Dooku, and then eventually Anakin, and then they reverse the roles and nearly wipe out all of the Jedi through their machinations, definitely. And so now we've gone from a near complete elimination of Sith to near complete elimination of the Jedi, with only a few survivors left in that order. And so now everything has been over quite a long period of time. You know, there's only a couple of Sith left and a couple of Jedi, at least known entities.
Right.
There's only a couple left on either side, or fewer. So then there is that balance. Now there's nearly none of either. Now, is that balanced? Is that
Not according to what we're seeing now. So I have a theory on this, or one that I posed just based on.
well? And I like it, but let me finish this thought
Okay.
here. So, if we take nature as our guide, whenever there's a forest fire, it wipes out acreage, right, of trees, grass, habitat,
Right.
and which can include, as we have recently seen in like California, like neighborhoods, and it just wipes everything out. But that happens in nature. That's not new. Those things happen, and while it rips through everything that currently exists, once a forest fire goes through, then new stuff takes its place. It takes time for the forest to regenerate and rebuild itself, but it does. And that's nature's way of taking a bad thing that has happened to it and then pushing through, overcoming it. And I think I also used the example of when a battleship sinks, right? That's a big piece of debris in the ocean, and that gets to like the Titanic. It's pollution basically in a place that never intended to have something like that there, but then the ocean takes it over. It becomes part, it becomes part of the environment and takes it over, and then it becomes the habitat there. And so it takes time as well. But that's nature overcoming a negative and turning it into a positive. And I always viewed, this is my own opinion, but I've always viewed the force similar to like nature's force, and that it will end up correcting itself. It might take some time, but whenever something bad happens, nature, if left alone, will overcome it and flourish once again.
Right.
And so now at the end of the original trilogy, we have Luke. We don't have any known Sith left, and only one Jedi. And then now we've got the sequel movies, which start with an awakening. And is the awakening the Force's way of correcting? Now, awakening doesn't necessarily mean good Jedi or bad Sith. It's just an awakening of the Force, because whether it's been Sith Force users or Jedi Force users, they've been essentially wiped out. So why was there a need for an awakening? Is this just the Force correcting itself and rebuilding after 1,000 years of them destroying each other and everything around it? Because not all Jedi had great intentions and all that stuff. But anyway, I digress. I like what you had to say about what you were thinking about, like the awakening.
Right. Well, my thought would be, so if you have a decimation or a great reduction in the amount of Force users, especially in a nature or environment that wants to correct itself, via whatever's happening. I really liked how you said the awakening. And so my whole thought was like, well, what you're seeing with Rey and with Han Killer, Kylo, Ben, we'll go with Ben, is that you almost have a consolidation of the Force down to one or two people. So that makes him, as Luke quoted, I've only seen raw power like this once before, which was obviously Ben, Kylo, Ren, and when Rey's, breaking rocks with her mind and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it could be as nature corrects itself or balances itself that it shoves all this force into just one person, or as we saw, we've got the broom boy effect going on where he's, the force is like, hey, it needs a place to go. And so for the time being, as we have limited force users in the galaxy,
at least known force users.
Well, we'll probably see another one next in episode 9. I'm sure someone's going to rear their forcey head, but who knows? It's drawing, it's pushing, and that might be that could answer the question of why the Skywalker lineage is so powerful. Is because since the decimation of the Sith 1,000 years ago, and then the overbalance of the Jedi, and then the Jedi, 30 years ago or whatever. Yeah, Luke, he got granted some serious powers for no reason. I mean, he was bullseyeing wombats for no reason, right?
Yeah, in his T-16.
In his T-16. I mean, and this kid.
So you're saying because of the lack of known force users, they're the midichlorians, the force, the cosmic powers have concentrated themselves into a few specific people instead of kind of reseeding the
force needs to exist. So you have
force is always going to exist, Josh.
It has to exist. So the force finds a way
to be personified.
Yep. To personify. You have the natural force and you have the physical force or all that
Cosmic
stuff. We
force,
don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
That was a good pod, by the way.
Thank you, 7
by 7. That was awesome. Made us think. So I think that a concentration of the force in a few force users is what we're seeing right now. And balance, I don't understand balance as that goes because I'm a gray fan. I think gray is real. I think that you're going to have like the yin and the yang where you have the black dot and the white, swoosh. I think that's what's happening right now where the Jedi and or the Sith can't rely on one side of the force. They have to be able to bridge the two. Can you imagine a Jedi who can make the decision to do something that isn't the purest, or a Sith who can make the decision to save a life and show mercy? Whatever. I think the gray is where we're going. I'm a gray fan.
Yeah,
I
have a little pushback to that, though.
Of course.
Right? It would be yes, ideal if somebody could call upon the benefits of the dark side and the light side and use them in an appropriate way. But I think we've seen people try to do that. I think we saw Anakin try to do that. Try to, because his intentions for using the dark side were to never let somebody who he loved die again. After he couldn't save his mom, he wasn't going to let Padme die. He wasn't going to let people that he loved die. And so his motivation was in the right place, but he couldn't balance it.
Well, but he was also influenced.
Right,
by
he was being severely
who had
manipulated.
None of the intentions he did.
Right, and even
so
the Jedi were off their game at that point too.
Look, you've got Rey who doesn't have a mentor or an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
Luke's gone.
Yeah, and he
apparently
wasn't that great of a mentor.
No, he's pretty bad.
3 points.
You got Ren,
3 lessons.
who took out Snoke. He's got no influencer.
Right.
So now
he was a negative influence on him. He just belittled him at every turn and made him feel small.
And liked Hux better. That's weird.
He would never be as anything in comparison to Vader.
So I don't know. I don't know where they go from there. They balance each other out at the end. I mean, if they're, I don't know, maybe they high five.
Fist bump.
And
you'll teach a few broom boys how to use the
Have you ever
force.
done the high five where you reach around and then as you walk by,
Top Gun?
you do the bottom 5?
the Top Gun.
Yeah.
I feel the need for speed.
I think that's what's going to happen. That's a balance of the Force right there.
That would be quite something, Josh.
Right. I think we have.
That's almost.
I think
that's almost as good as an idea as the beginning of episode 9 being Luke wakes up from a bad dream. Oh my gosh!
I love that. I can't wait till that happens. Thank you, J.J. Abrams.
Please, JJ, please. No, that anyway.
So there you go. Food for thought.
Food for thought. And you know what? If you have made it this far into the podcast and
Good
you
for
have
you.
if you good for you, thumbs up on that. But if you have a strong opinion one way or the other about what balance to the Force actually means or what it means to you, we'd love to hear it.
Yep.
Love to hear it. So thanks again for listening. Check us, subscribe
Subscribe to our pod.
at iTunes. Follow us on Twitter
Yeah. Look us up on Facebook.
and Instagram.
And
We
Instagram.
exist there too.
Holochronicles.
Holochronicles. Tell your friends. We thank you for listening.
And we can't wait to hear from you on the social universe.
Yeah, and don't forget about Mail Day Monday. If you
Mail
got something,
Day
if you got something
Monday.
cool that you're excited,
Send it in. # Mail Day Monday.
Mail Day Monday. Let's see it tomorrow. Have a happy President's Day. Shout out to the BMB.
4 and see you next time.
You may fire when ready. It's a trap! There are no Jedi here anymore. Only dreamers like this